Hello, good morning, good evening, good afternoon, Earthlings on planet Earth. I hope you're all doing well. I'm much better now. Thank you very, very much. I am working my way through the comments. Thank you so much, all of you, for all the tips and remedies on how to cure a head cold. And to Ralph Owens, no, it's not COVID-19. I don't know, are we allowed to say COVID-19 now, or do we get cancelled or something? I don't know. So I still sound a bit nasal, but I feel brilliant now. And I've actually got a day off today with Graham. Just the two of us. So we're going to fix bilge pumps on the boat. That's where we are now. We're on our boat, which is a work in progress. And I thought I'd show you all. I don't know if you've noticed the little icon I've always had on my channel is a chair in front, a really weird looking chair in front of a desk. That chair, I made that chair out of pasta. I was really pleased, actually. It's in the house at the moment. One of the legs fell off. But this is the desk. So if you zoom in on my channel thing, and this desk is it's for holding letters. It was my dad's. He got it from his dad, who got it from his dad. God knows where it came from in the first place. But it's always been, it's got little inkwells. And it's for putting your post, in olden days when they had letters. Just random, thought you might like to see that. And it's got that marquetry at the front, and it's got little drawers that actually work. I love all that sort of stuff, like dolls' houses. I think the fascination with miniature things and dolls' houses is that we can create our own perfect little imaginary world, because we all live in our own headspace. Well, that's how I cope with life. I don't know about the rest of you. I choose not to see the bad things in life. Although I'm looking around my boat at the moment, and there's an awful lot of work to be done. I'll just give you a quick scan. There's our TV. You can see I've had to do some filler and stuff. No, I haven't finished fixing the windows. And the least said about the back of the boat, the better. So just a change of scene. This is just a general chat about what I think of Samantha Markle. I think we all know what I think of Meghan Markle. I think everybody knows that. Had a friend who got in touch after years and years the other day, said, "What you been up to?" And I said, "Oh, well, go look at my YouTube channel. That'll give you a rough idea." And he was like, is it that you don't like Meghan? Don't hold back or anything. Because, firstly, some of the sugars, and I'll come to the topic of sugars in a minute. Some of them say daft things like, "Have you ever met Meghan? How do you know what Meghan's like?" Well, the same could be said for anybody who's in a high profile position. For example, a lot of people hate Piers Morgan. A lot of people love Piers Morgan. But have any of those people actually met Piers? No, not really, I don't suppose. Or with any celebrity. How can the same sugars say they hate Kate and William when they couldn't possibly have met them? Now, the term sugars, I've got to clear this up, because as you know, I haven't caught up on all the comments because of the moving and cleaning the boat and having a head cold. But I did get an email from somebody, I won't name them, who thought that my video entitled Sugars the other day, they thought I was talking about them, and I wasn't. It's a person who's very much Team Harry, Team Meghan. What I was talking about with sugars are paid trolls and bots. Okay, not people who are genuinely, independent. They're not being paid by anybody. They're not related. They're just sticking up for Meghan and Harry. And there are people here on this channel who do that, and I love that. And this particular person, I actually hold in pretty high regard, and you know who you are because we've had an exchange of emails, and I've sort of said that I wasn't talking about you at all. And there's one lady I've got to mention. I can't remember how to pronounce your username. It's something like Laika or Lalika. And they come on here at this channel and they always say things like, "I love Meghan and I love Harry," and they put a heart and everything. And it's just so sweet. And I love that Harry and Meghan have their fan base here. And they feel okay to come and be with us, because I realise the majority of us are extremely critical. Now, coming to Samantha Markle, I was watching Daniel's latest video, Daniel Boland, last night, and at the end he was saying, you know, I'm not sure about the Markle family, and I totally get where he's coming from. I warm towards Samantha, and I warm towards the Markle family in general, because I see them as impoverished and really all at sea when it comes to PR. Because I suppose what this channel is all about, and other channels that criticise not just the royal family, any public figure, we're really talking about their public perception, their public persona, as opposed to knowing the individual, you know, really, really knowing them. That's what people are talking about. Piers Morgan is a nitty gritty. He's there to wind things up, shake things up. But that's not necessarily who Piers is in private, at home. And it's the same with Meghan and Harry. Although Meghan and Harry have put themselves out there a lot. And they've shared some pretty intimate things. In fact, that reminds me. The fact that Omid Scobie included in Finding Freedom that Harry fell in love with Meghan when he saw her pee in the bushes, right? I really want to say this because I do feel Meghan and Harry watch these channels, including this one. I totally get where Harry's coming from, and I totally get where Meghan's coming from on that one. And this is my opinion and what I think has happened with that bit, because what a thing to put in a book. Meghan peed in the bushes. I don't believe Meghan wanted that included in the book. I think that Harry told Omid that part, and Omid probably said, are you sure about including that? And Harry, I bet he's a lot like my old man. It's the sort of thing my Graham would do. He'd go, oh yeah, super cool that is. Oh, I love that bit. And I can imagine Harry saying, oh, when everybody hears about her peeing in the bushes, they're going to love her just as much as I do. And he probably told Omid to do it behind Meghan's back, and it probably came as a big surprise to Meghan when she read that part of the book, and I can imagine her being mortified. I know I would be, but it is the sort of thing that would any of your fellas out there, ladies and gentlemen, would any of your partners do something like that? And the reason it cropped up the other day is because, as you know, we're all reviewing our old footage of me and Graham over the years, and somebody asked us to do I'm not going to give anything away, but someone asked us to do a compilation of some of our old video footage for a specific purpose. And Graham was so proud of himself. He spent 3 days editing it together, and he said, oh, I can't wait for you to watch this. And I watched it and I was like, yikes, Graham, those are like all the things I would not have put in it. And it just took me back to Finding Freedom. And I could just imagine Meghan's face. And I think that's probably the only time I would ever sympathise with her and say, I know where you're coming from, I totally understand. But we don't know much about her family, other than her PR spin. And it's incredible the way the mainstream media just went along with the whole thing's been thrown out. And then like 24, 36 hours later, they're playing catch up with YouTubers like Lady C, who were on the ball and explained it quickly. You know, Royal Griff, there's loads of YouTubers out there. How slow are the mainstream media, or are they just bleeding it for every penny they can get? So I'm getting my news from YouTube completely. I'm not even bothering with the mainstream. But we don't know that much about the Markles in themselves. They haven't been exposed to the same degree. And whenever they're interviewed, interviewers always want to know about Meghan. What was Meghan like growing up? It's always Meghan, Meghan, Meghan. Have you spoken to Meghan? Whereas I'm not so interested in Meghan as I am, what is Samantha Markle really thinking? What's she really like? I think she comes across as very, very well spoken, a nice lady. When I first heard that Meghan had a sister who was against her, and I didn't know anything about Samantha Markle, I did think, oh, you know, maybe it's jealousy, you know, sibling rivalry. And also she had that friend Naniki Pretty, who came out pretty quickly saying Meghan was obsessed with royal family. She had videos of Diana and Charles's wedding, Diana's funeral. She had the Andrew Morton's book. My parents took her on holiday with me. We had our picture taken outside Buckingham Palace. I read that article, and at the time I thought, oh, sour grapes, you know, this friend of hers is no longer her friend, so she's got, you know, all the knives are coming out. I thought exactly the same as Daniel Boland. But it didn't take me long to sniff out that that was not the case, and there is an awful lot more. And I think the Markles are probably a lot more complicated than people think or realise. And my favourite one, oddly enough, which I know has horrified Daniel Boland to discover he has a YouTube channel, is Thomas Jr. I like him the most out of the family. Let's put the rubber chicken scenes and stuff to one side, because I know a lot of you found that extremely distasteful. But I really enjoyed his videos where he'd be walking along the beach and he'd clearly had a few beers and he was just like really being open and honest. And I think he's the kind of person I could probably sit down and have a beer. And I think there's a lot to the Markles. I think they're probably a very, very interesting family. I also see that the Daily Mail have been running some really strange stories, apart from talking about surrogacies a lot. And you all know I'm not, you know, that's not my thing. I saw they did a story on hazing in America, some poor young man who nearly died through a hazing experiment. And it makes me wonder why the Daily Mail's suddenly showing an interest in hazing. Why are they suddenly showing an interest in surrogacy? I mean, I know the old Daily Mail of old. I know you can kind of tell when they're going in a particular direction. What you up to, Graham? Oh, why?
Just keeping quiet, that's all.
Oh, right, I thought you wanted me to be quiet.
No,
I wonder what you were up to.
Out your way.
So, yeah. So the Markles, I do warm towards them.
Because if I interrupt you, you moan and say, why did you interrupt me? I'm
No,
making
I don't.
a video. So I was keeping really quiet and out the way.
Well, feel free to come and join us if you like.
In a bit.
In a bit, yeah, okay. Yes, I think... Well, I hope that, firstly, that her court case and her amendment goes well for her. And I think she's had a really raw bum deal. Because the thing is, it wasn't just that oh, I'm hot now. It wasn't just that Meghan said, you know, I barely knew Samantha when I was growing up. You know, she's someone I don't know. She made remarks about, you know, this is a woman who's been sleeping around and has had a gazillion children to a gazillion men and lost custody, and that was really nasty. That was a nasty thing to say. And although there's a big age gap, I'm sure I've mentioned before, Graham's eldest daughter, Vicky, is 9 years younger than me, so she must be 44 now. His son is about 38. Our daughter is 22, nearly, and our son is 19. So there's an enormous age gap between Benji and Vicky, but they get on, and there's no way that my two would ever go on TV and say, I hardly know Vicky or Richard. They don't see each other very often, but when they do, they absolutely adore them, and they always have, and they all get on really, really well, although they're leading separate lives. I've got two sisters. One of my sisters is 7 years older than me, and the other one is 13 years older than me, and we're all at very different stages of life, and we hardly ever see each other, but when we do, we get on really, really well, and I would never go on TV and say, oh, hardly know those women, you know, or say bad things about them. So I do feel poor old Sam has had a rough deal. Plus, she is disabled, and I applaud her for trying. She's got to clear her name. I'll tell you what. If someone went on Oprah saying all manner of shit about me, I'd have a thing or two to say. Might not sue, but I tell you what, I would make 1 or 2 YouTube videos about it. That's for sure. Without the rubber chicken, of course. Thomas Jr. and his rubber chicken. I do love his Omid Scobie impersonations, especially the one where the eyebrows fell off. Sorry, Omid, if you're watching this. Sorry. So, it's just a general chat about nothing today. What have you guys been up to? And What do you make of Samantha? And isn't it ridiculous, these sugars that say you've no right to comment on someone unless you've actually met them? I mean, God, we'd all be walking around with gaffer tape all over our mouths all the time, wouldn't we? I just feel that if someone is in the public spotlight, then people are going to comment. That's called current affairs. It's topical. As always, thank you very much for listening to my ramblings. And thank you all very, very much for watching and joining in. And we're all a team here. And I will keep you updated. There's going to be a lot going on the boat. Oh, and happy birthday, Trevor Coult. Happy birthday. He's an Aries like me. There's a television advert for Volkswagen. I'm going to put a link in the description. And I absolutely love this TV commercial. And it's very much my personality. And I think it's very much Trevor's personality as well. A typical Aries. And I did find it hilarious that a lot of wokey cokies complained about animal rights abuse when it's actually an artificial ram. It's a baby ram with big horns, but it's not real. But there were campaigners saying, oh, how could the bad Volkswagen bully the baby ram? As always, thoughts, opinions, and I'll see you later.